Kirby Star Allies, the actual Forgotten Kirby game, came out 5 years ago, and it's pretty interesting to talk about how hated this game was and to talk about the impact it has left on the Kirby franchise as a whole. But in order to talk about all that, we got to get some backstory, so let's get started. Kirby Star Allies came out for the Nintendo Switch in March of 2018. This game was disliked pretty much from the start because it didn't seem to live up to the other reinvigorated games coming to the Nintendo Switch at that time. What I mean by this is when Zelda came to the Switch, it was in a form of a complete rehaul with Breath of the Wild. Think about it, but the game we had before this was Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword was a very traditional Zelda game, and Breath of the Wild came in and reinvigorated the entire franchise and created something wholly new and exciting, so people were really expecting that from Kirby. Similarly with Mario, we had Mario 3D World before Mario Odyssey. 3D World was essentially a 2D Mario game in 3D clothing. Granted, I did still really enjoy it, but I can totally see how people were disappointed by the fact that Kirby stayed so true to form. However, time has been pretty kind to this game, but before we talk about the impact it's had, let's talk about the game itself. Kirby Star Allies is a 2D side-scrolling traditional Kirby game in most aspects. The story is pretty basic with the something's wrong in Dreamland, Kirby then becomes an absolute baddie, does something about it, then the story gets randomly super deep and emotional for a second, but then it's all happy and Kirby and vibey. So it's a good time. But essentially the story just serves to push the gameplay, which is very, very solid. Kirby is fun to control, and the new thing in this game is that you can befriend the enemies while walking around. You throw a little heart at them, and then they're your buddy. And they'll fight for you with all they got. And they fight pretty well, honestly. They're kind of baddies out there, but that also sort of creates a problem. That being that since these computers helping you are so good at the game, it becomes pretty easy. Imagine taking a boss down just as Kirby. It could be sort of challenging, right? But then you have someone helping you, so that's a little bit easier. Well, what's one more person helping you? Sure. But what's 3 other people helping you? That's really, really easy. And yeah, Kirby games definitely tend to be easy, but this is easy. This is you sit back and let the computer take you through the game easy. It's still fun though, so let's talk about the rest of the game. So in classic 2D Kirby fashion, there are a ton of power-ups, but the main thing that differentiates this game is that you can combine 2 different power-ups. So for example, say that I find a fire enemy, right? Swallow the fire enemy. Now I'm a little fire Kirby. Well, what if I also have a rock friend? Well, rock friend, will you lend me your power? Okay, vibes. Now I'm lava Kirby, and I'm way more powerful, and this kind of comes into play with a lot of different environmental puzzles where it will sort of make you stuck there until you have the right power combo to open up that gate or whatever obstacle is blocking you. This might seem kind of linear, kind of boring, but at the same time, it's really fun because it makes you think about, what actually could work here? And what do I need to do to make sure this can function properly and I can get through this area? It's actually very, very cool, and these were some of my favorite parts of the game. At the same time, the gimmick does start to wear a little thin towards the end of the game, which, to be fair, is not very long, only taking around 5 to 7 hours to fully complete. Yeah, this game is pretty short. I think its runtime was something that really took a toll on the reception of this game as well. Well, yes, it was a brand new Kirby experience. It was so traditional that people felt like $60 for a 5 to 7 hour Kirby game that doesn't really set itself apart was kind of a ripoff. And while I do truly enjoy this game, I can definitely sympathize with this perspective. Because yeah, why would it make sense to pay $60 for this super generic looking Kirby game? Meanwhile, at the time, you could still buy Kirby Planet Robobot with way more content, way more inventive features, things like that, for around $40. So see what I'm saying? That kind of really rubbed people the wrong way. Building off of that, the standard, like we discussed earlier, was through the roof for this game. People expected an expansive and new Kirby experience, and this return kind of felt like a backstep for the franchise. Coming off of the heels of one of the best and most inventive games in the franchise, that being Kirby Planet Robobot, people wanted how to build off of that success, and when they didn't, the reception suffered. Most of the reviews at the time were pretty much the same. Each person saying that if you're a fan of Kirby, it's a good game, but it's really nothing special. Nintendo Life gave it a 7 at the time with an overall positive review, but it also mentioned that it shows that the main Kirby formula is starting to get a little tired, which I do think describes this game very well. A lot of videos at the time were talking about how disappointed they were and how mediocre the game was, and that they wish that it had taken a page from Breath of the Wild and reinvented the franchise. However, looking back now, I think it did age pretty well, seeing as we did eventually get that rejuvenation just a lot further down the line. That being Kirby and the Forgotten Land. This game stood out as one of the best games of the year and has become become the best Kirby game. However, it also brought in a lot of fans because it does hold the record as the best-selling Kirby game at 6.12 million as of December 2022. This means that a lot of new people are coming into the franchise, and while they appreciate the development that Forgotten Land did to the franchise, they might want to experience that traditional 2D Kirby style, and this is where I think Star Allies can be very, very fun and beneficial and a good time for that already established Kirby fan. Personally, I really did have a nice, fun, relaxing time playing through Kirby Star Allies, and honestly, I think that's because of how easy it was and how cute the world was around me. I think that the allies, while yes, making it sort of easy at times, were definitely an interesting idea, and something that I mentioned earlier is that they help combine power-ups to make something new, and so I think that that was a really, really good addition and created a lot of fun environmental puzzles. Also, when you need to heal an ally, or you, Kirby, yourself needs to heal, they do this super cute little kiss, and it's like, reminds me of the Cusco
kiss of life.
I definitely would say that this game isn't for everyone, and if you're not already a Kirby fan, this is not a game that's going to make you one. However, if you've played Forgotten Land and have really wanted to see some other Kirby adventures, Star Allies is definitely a decent place to start. Overall, I would give this a solid 7.5 out of 10. It's pretty fun and relaxing, and personally, I did have a good time. Before you go, check out this video where I rank all the Kirby games. It's a vibe.